one of the reasons why that Velocity has been so successful is because of all the new assets that we continue to bring out. We aren't standing still. One of the most important new assets that we've brought forward is our client journey, which is a new and improved client-facing application that is very intuitive to walk someone through the process. So we're going to spend a little bit of time going through that. I'm just going to walk you through the home page first, just so you, for those of you that are seeing Velocity for the first time, have an idea of what you're looking at. So when we built Velocity, we really thought it was important to have sort of that bird's eye view of what was going on in your business. The only real thing that brokers use day in and day out consistently was really a calendar. So we incorporated that into the top left-hand corner of the home page. And this calendar is important because it actually pulls in information from the deals that you're working on. It'll pull up all the closing dates or condition dates of those deals. And more importantly, any deal-specific tasks that you've created for yourself, any follow-ups, I need to call someone about their T4, those will automatically populate your calendar. In addition to that, we have our workflows. So workflows are things that you can have automatically fire at different points of a transaction or triggers that remind you to do things on every single deal or contact. And those will all show up in your calendar. This calendar syncs to Google, so you can actually have it on any mobile device. So you wake up in the morning, you look at your phone, you can see what you have to do. It's that easy. Now, like any calendar, it has a month, week, and day view. I'm not going to show it to you. You guys all know what a calendar looks like. One other thing that we do show on the Velocity calendar, and this part doesn't sync to Google, is the birthdays, mortgage anniversaries, term maturities, and pre-approval rate expiries. There are ways to make that sync to your calendar by creating them as tasks, but just from a CRM perspective, you don't necessarily want all your birthdays to pop up on your calendar. Because if you have a 10,000 or a 15,000 person database, you don't want those all to populate and go and take up your whole task list. So we felt it was important to give people the option of how to do that and make it work for everyone. The next quadrant over is our deals overview. As you can see, it goes by year. So these are the when deals have been entered, leads have been entered, or deals that have closing dates within 2020. So I have 28 pre-approvals, but in my total pre-approval queue, I have $769 million. So I've got a lot of deals potentially to work on. I've got my 94 leads. I've got my pipeline, which is all my current active files, which are ready to be submitted, approved, or accepted by a customer. Accepted is a status that means you have your signed commitment letter in hand. And that is really important because we know that the faster you get those signed, the better funding ratio you're going to have. The next category is waiting to close. We used to call it waiting to fund, but a few too many WTF comments were made, so we changed it to waiting to close. And last but not least, you have your funded. This is also our jumping off point into our deals dashboard in order for you to get a little more granular, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, of all those different statuses within the deals. The last two quadrants are really about communication. We have our message center, and this one's important because you're going to get any new updates, training enhancements. You're going to have communication between you and the brokerage. And if you're working with an assistant, the message center allows you to communicate to one another as well. Anything that comes into the message center, you can actually elect to have via email as well. So it becomes very important in that communication process. In regards to our Velocity releases and our updates, we do those every second Thursday night. So we're constantly improving the system, whether it be tweaking how fast it runs, whether we are changing some of the UI or adding a new feature in. You're going to see new stuff from us, every couple of weeks. And we tell you what that is all through your release notes. You also get it by email. The last quadrant here is our CRM overview, and this tells you what sort of opportunities you have in the next 30 days based on your pre-approvals, birthdays, mortgage anniversaries, and term maturities. Because this is just a demo site, I don't have any opportunities in particular in the next 30 days, But if I had birthdays or pre-approvals, I just click on it. It will actually take me to my pre-approval report or my birthday report. That is pretty much a standard that you have to have in the systems today. Across the top here, we have a task list. So this little check mark relates to everything that you see on your calendar here, and it shows you all the tasks that you have to do. And I could just mark them as complete through here, or I can actually see what's overdue. But this also relates to what we call My Day. And My Day is basically one single point where you can action all the tasks that you have to do in a given day. So you'll see that they're broken down into phone calls or SMS or email. So that's right, folks, SMS, for those of you on the system, we are actually in beta right now with a few users with our SMS, and we'll be launching this live in the middle of September. So you'll actually be able to text right from Velocity, and it's going to log all the communication right within the deal, and all the responses of those text messages that come back from those clients will also reside in the client contact, and I'll show you that in a moment. So for any actions that I have here in my task list, I could just say, yeah, I made this phone call, it's done, okay? Or my text message, I could send it directly from here. Same with my emails. So everything around your My Day, your workflows, you can create templates to fire with different triggers. With those templates, you'll have your messaging that comes up, and we call this all part of your active communication. So I have a template that I've created for my approval closing email, and I could send it by just checking it off and sending everything all at once if I just want to send my basic template, or I can go into my actions and edit it, and I can personalize the content before I send it out. And then I can just fire it out for that one particular change for that particular client. So Jack Red's going to get this update, okay? So it gives you a lot of opportunity to just action things very quickly or personalize it on the way out the door. All these workflows can be set up right under your workflows. And I'll just show you the page here very quickly. It's all broken down into individual workflows, but you can categorize those workflows. So you can say, hey, here's my leads, here's my pre-approvals. You can create different stages, and then I can add a lead into any particular stage that I want. So basically, you're going to decide what you want that trigger to be, and it's going to give you that reminder on every single deal or every single contact that hits that trigger. So it's a great thing to get familiar with when you're in Velocity. The other items across the top here is we have your new application ribbon. So this is where all your new applications reside. Also, when you see all your new applications, this is your actual application link that you'd actually put on your website or hyperlink in your Apply Now button in your email signature. So I'm going to show you the application here shortly. The last two items are the message icon, which relates to the message center. So any new messages that I haven't read, so I could just mark all of them as read because I've read all of them. And then we have the reminder bell. The reminder bell is just another way to allow things not to slip through the cracks. And it actually is color coded based on green, yellow, and red. So if something is red, it means it's urgent. I better look at it. So again, just an extra precaution to let you stay on top of things. Now, I'm going to show you the profile because this is where we actually have your online application and how you can actually set up your own branding for it. So I can use the client journey. We also have a basic application, which is a form application, if you would prefer the long one-page form. You'd also update any of your branding. So I can go with my default, or I can actually upload my own banner. Or if you're part of a network, your network will show up and you can actually just click on that and it's going to apply your network banner. And then I have the ability to edit my actual communication that shows up in my client portal, as well as in my client experience, which I'll talk about in just a second. So this is a generic email, but I can actually update and edit it here to make sure that it's done the same way over and over again. This is also my online application link here. So I'm just going to copy it, and this will take me to my client journey. So the client journey, as I said at the get-go, is all about having a modern, intuitive application that walks the client to the end of the application. It's doing it in bite-sized chunks. It's intuitive in the sense that based on their answers to the questions you're asking, it'll ask the next appropriate question. So as an example, if I'm buying a property, it's now going to ask me, am I still looking, or have I found a place? So if I found the place, then it's going to ask me for the address of the place and how much I'm looking for. If I was still looking, well, how much are you looking to borrow? Because we're now in the process of doing a pre-approval. So again, it's just going to walk you through step by step. Then it gets into their personal details, who they are, where they live, and what do they do. And then tell us about any other income you have, any assets, other properties that you own. And this is important, folks, because Velocity will log and hold all those maturity dates of mortgages that you have not mortgaged. So keep that in mind. And then last but not least, they'll ask you who referred them, any additional notes they want you to know about. And then when you get to the summary, we actually have the system ask, is there any other person that you'd like to add to the application? We also do this during the initial stage of the application when they say, are they single, married, common law? And if they are married or common law, we will ask whether they want to add that person or their spouse to the application. When you're at the summary, it allows them to actually edit any of the details that they've entered and then submit it. So this is a great way to take that whole experience of just the data processing of an application and chunking it down and making it easy for the client to complete the app. We only require 4 pieces of information for the client to actually be able to submit that application for you. Their name, their contact details, their address. I said 4, that's 3. So really, it's really that simple. So we don't want clients to get frustrated in trying to complete an application to send to you. If they've just filled out the basic stuff, we want you to be able to get that application, contact that client, and gather the missing information. Okay? So I'm just going to take a quick pause here. Viv, is there any questions that have come up that we want to address at this point? Or should we
Actually, we're okay. We're just answering them in the chat, and we're okay at this point. Great job.
Great. Thanks, Viv. Okay. Now, as part of Velocity, we also have a client portal. And a client portal is a secure portal for a client to upload documents, and it converts them automatically to a PDF for you. Client portal is our #1 most used feature in all of Velocity. I'm going to show it to you in a few minutes. But what I want to talk about is our client experience. So we have this great client journey and we have this great client portal. And client experience is about the amalgamation or the merging of the two. So we actually have taken the position that you are the experts in the relationship with your customer. Most of the customers that you deal with today, you've spoken with on the phone and then you're sending an application to. So you have some sort of idea of what they're looking for. So in that case, we want that client to be able to complete the application and upload the document at the exact same time. So we created client experience. And what client experience is the merging of those two pieces. And you're basically putting in the client's name and you're actually submitting it or sending the application just to one person. So you're not having 2 separate people create 2 different applications. You can have them both add their information to the one app. And then you have your email content below. Okay, so here I can still edit the application. We've templated it, so it makes it easy. If there was any attachments that we wanted them to have, if there was an introduction to your team, you could upload them here. And then because you've spoken with them, you know what they're doing, you know, what they do for employment, you know what they're buying. So I can go in and say, I want a pay stub because he's salaried. I want a letter of employment. And then I want a purchase agreement. So we've taken this approach because there's other systems out there that have a similar application and portal, but they apply what's called smart conditions to their client application. And those smart conditions actually end up overriding what you have actually told the client to provide. So we want you to be in the driver's seat. You are the ones that know best, and you also know that most clients don't complete applications right the first time. If someone is self-employed, but they draw salaried from the company, how many times have we seen that they've selected that they're a salaried employee? Well, a pay stub and letter of employment is not going to cut it for that individual. You're going to need more from them. And you've probably already gathered that. So it's an important piece or an important distinction with how we are handling client experience compared to everyone else. So when that email goes out, it will look something like this. Hello, Kevin. I'm looking forward to helping you with your application. And then I've got 2 buttons to start my application and upload the documents. So what is great about this email is that if the client completes the application and they don't have their pay stub and letter of employment handy right away, they can actually come back to this email later on and click the upload document link, and they're still able to upload their documents at another time. So it's not like you're having to send them a brand new link. So it is a great way to actually get that application quickly and a complete app so that you can get it out the door to your lenders faster and then get that customer an approval faster. Okay. All right, so we've talked about client experience, we've talked about client journey, we've talked about workflows. So let's actually look at the meat of the system when it comes to an actual deal. So one of the things that we did early on when we brought out Velocity was we identified that the biggest challenge for most agents was not learning a new system, it was just the fact that they had to change. So we wanted to minimize that impact of change. So if you look at the application, I'm sure you see a familiar site. It looks like Expert. So it's an easy way for you to actually just jump right into the system and start entering your applications. Because if you aren't submitting from Velocity, none of the other stuff really matters. You have to be able to submit, and we tell people in training, give us 30 minutes and we'll have you submitting. And you'll be able to get your deals out the door. And once you're submitting and Velocity becomes your everyday platform, submission platform, then you start leveraging all the other pieces. And that's how we focus our training. So this is our modern view. We've actually enhanced the Expert experience. We've improved the drop downs for the GDS and TDS. So you know when you're talking to your underwriter, what's included, or if there's a difference in that TDS or GDS, where those differences may lie. I'm using 100% of condo fees in my subject property request. Maybe they're only using 50, or maybe they're using 3% of the credit card balances for payments, and I'm just using what's off the bureau. So you'll be able to identify what those things are by looking at your drop down. The other things that we've done within Velocity for the Expert experience is we've actually made it so that the system saves automatically. Every keystroke, it's saving. You don't have to keep saving, and you're not going to time out after 28 minutes and 49 seconds. So it makes it super simple for you to get through the application. We're also not making you jump from page to page, because all in one spot, it's just one page that you do everything in. So even when I need to pull my credit bureau, I'm just down in my assets, liabilities, and property section. I can just pull my credit bureau right here. For those of you who don't know, we are actually offering TransUnion credit reports free for the balance of the calendar year. We're trying to give agents more and more reasons to jump on board, and we're trying to help during this time and save people money. TransUnion actually ends up being a better credit bureau because it actually gives you a better score, because it's looking at 24 months of payment history as opposed to the last 90 days like Equifax is. In addition to that, more and more lenders are getting on side with TransUnion. So we always get asked, well, who's not, or who is accepting TransUnion? It's really more the question of who's not. So CMLS, RFA, TD, just to name a couple, are not accepting TransUnion. Scotia, FirstNet, MCAP, RMG, they are. So it's a great way to always take a look at the Bureau first. If not, you might as well still pull the TransUnion Bureau first if you don't know where you're going, because it doesn't cost you anything. So you know what sort of credit you're dealing with. And then if the lender that you're going to happens to not accept TransUnion, then you just pull the Equifax Bureau afterwards. So it's a great way to stay on top of things. So when you do go to pull your credit bureau, it pops up just like the expert page, single joint copy liabilities. Here we're actually selecting Equifax or TransUnion, and then you can even decide which language to select as well. Okay. As we continue to go through the application, I filled everything else out the same. We get down to the subject property details. And one of the things that we've added recently in the subject property details is the address lookup search. So I can go 1915, and it starts looking at different addresses that are out there. So I could say Main Street, Smithers, BC, and it's going to pre-populate this. So this was our first step to bringing out a bigger enhancement that you're going to see in the next few weeks with our property validation, which will actually allow you to pre-fill the construction details of that property. So it'll pre-fill your square footage. It'll say what type of property it is. It will have some of the legal description. We know from talking to the lenders that most applications take about 20 minutes for them to clean up before they can actually start using or start underwriting the actual deal. This property validation tool is going to help you save the lender time, which is going to mean that you're going to get your deal back faster, but it's also going to save you and your clients money, because when the construction details are more accurate, you have more AVMs that will automatically go through. So when Scotia goes and puts it through PAT, it's going to pop out an actual value. You can utilize that value. So that costs you $99 as opposed to getting a full appraisal. So there's just another reason to use all these tools available to you within Velocity. Okay. I'm just going to flip over to our modern view so you guys can actually see what that looks like and the difference with modern view compared to classic. So our top banner is a little bit different. You'll notice that all the tiles are broken up. So I can actually decide what order I want these tiles in depending on how I like to take an application. This application's in a new status, so that once that deal is submitted, I can actually have these tiles change into a different order as well. Okay. So if I'm completing the application, and this applies in modern view as well, I get down to my mortgage request section, and then I actually have my interest rates that I enter, my qualifying details. I actually have a payment summary section. So this is where I can actually get a quick quote on MPP, and I can quote what my protected payment would be. This will help you sell more MPP insurance to your customer when you include what that total cost is going to be early on. So you're not just putting a piece of paper in front of them with the mortgage approval. So if I said to them, hey, your total payment is going to be $3,800, including your life insurance and disability, is that, can you afford that? Oh, yes, I can. So they can't come back and say it's too expensive later on. It's just one other way of selling it and makes it easier for you right up front. Once you get down into the lenders section, this is where you'll see our discovery tool. And discovery is really the Match.com of the mortgage business. So, you know, if you're looking for blonde hair, blue eyes, curly, 6'2", this is really the equivalent in the mortgage business. So Discovery really helps you swipe right on the best product and lender that is available for your client based on the application that was entered. It's taking 28 different data points that have been pre-filled from your application and filling them into Discovery. So it's going to tell you what your top 3 lenders are for this particular application. Folks, this is just a test site, so these rates are out of date. So, you know, don't worry about that. But this shows me what my top 3 picks are for this particular application. When I hit find more products, it will actually take me right into Discovery itself. And I can actually go in and pre-fill other filters that I wasn't able to fill in from the actual application. So within Discovery, it's going to take the borrower's names, their income types. It doesn't know whether they were previously bankrupt or not, because that's just a text field on the bureau. So I could say he was previously bankrupt. And what it does is it now narrow my selection from 80 products to 77. If I go into the actual product now, and I would say, okay, my down payment, it's being borrowed as an example. Not quite sure if we have any down payment restrictions in there. Let's just say I need insured. Then it's going to start to narrow down even more. So it just allows you to narrow and narrow and narrow to get a better result. We aren't going to show you things that just 100% match. We will show you other things that are 70% matches as well, because we also know that you have relationships with lenders, and we're not going to preclude lenders because they don't have the best rate. You might be able to get the deal done because you know you can get something put through on an exception. So we're still going to put that out there for you. Okay, so that is Discovery. So it would be a competitor to Lender Spotlight. The difference with ours is it's actually updated by the lenders through a lender portal, and they update things whenever there's changes. We also have other things built in place just in case, you know, the lenders are late in updating. We have a follow-up mechanism. We can have it updated through our customer care team if you notice something's wrong as well. Okay. Viv, how are we doing for questions?
We are doing fabulous. I'm answering them in the chat. And the one that you might be able to look at is they're just wondering if the lenders receive the TransUnion, are they on the back end pulling in Equifax as well?
That will be dependent on each lender. So Scotiabank is a complete TransUnion shop, so they will just keep the TransUnion, where MCAP, as an example, will accept the TransUnion, but they will probably still pull a Equifax because of their investors. Okay, so, but it's not going to preclude them from looking at your deal.
Exactly. The other one was in the pop-down menu for down payment, it only allows one choice when you do the override. What happens if the buyer has more than one down payment?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I always just tell people to put it in the notes, because the lenders, for the most part, will take that information from the notes. Some of them don't even ingest that information. So always good to have very, very complete notes. So good questions.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it.
Fantastic. All right. So that was Discovery. I'm just going to pop back down here again I'm just going to pretend I've submitted this deal so you guys can actually see what happens. So when the deal is now submitted in a different status, you notice how my screen has changed the order of the things that I'm looking at. So for me, once the deal is submitted, what am I most concerned about? I'm most concerned about what are my outstanding documents for that particular deal. So I move it right to the top of my page. So this leads us into, once that deal is submitted, I have all my conditions and documents. Here's my section where I'm actually going to keep everything. So no longer do you have to use Exchange if you're an expert user. Everything's stored right within the deal. And this is where all those documents come in from your client experience as well as your client portal. So they're all stored right here. Many lenders actually respond on the system, and if they respond on the system, they actually have some of their conditions come through so it can pre-populate this section. Or if it doesn't, you can actually just use this green upload button to just add more conditions. Okay, so I may need a gift letter. Okay, so it's that simple. Once I actually have my conditions list all set up and I need to gather these still from my customer, it's very, very simple to create an email to send off to your actual customer for that portal. So under our actions button here, so we've got two actions button, one for the deal, and there's one right in the section for the conditions and documents section. We have all these different things that you can do in this section. You can have all your e-sign options. We have all of our different communication options. So emailing for a conditions list, conditions only, documents, starting with a blank templated email, or this is where you'll be able to send text messages from to your customer. All this information is going to be logged right within the deal itself. Then we also have our client portal. So I always tell people, instead of just guessing whether the client wants an email or a client portal, just send them the client portal request every single time because it's still an email. Our client portal doesn't make you create a username and a login. It's a secure link specific to that customer. There's no other shared information. Once they upload their documents, they're locked down. So what you can do is you start by sending out the email to your customer. You can type around this little grid. I can put different details in here if I wanted, such as dated in the last 30 days, as an example. And then if I had my email signature set up in the system, it would be down here at the bottom. So what happens is this email gets sent out and looks like this. Now, I sent this one earlier, that's why it has this. So if your client isn't comfortable in uploading to a client portal, they can actually just hit reply and attach all their documents to it, just like you would receive traditionally today. If they are comfortable enough, all they actually have to do is hit upload, okay? And it will actually open up their actual client portal, okay? This client portal, if you remember in that profile section, I can actually change the wording myself for standardized. But the client portal is completely mobile responsive. You can access it from your phone, so your client can actually take pictures of the documents and it'll actually convert it to a PDF right on the spot. Or they can actually drag and drop different documents into the system. So let me just pull up my documents. So I could just go and say, this is a pay stub, and I will drag it in. I am going to upload my fake letter of employment. And let's just say that's all that I have right now. I can just hit then complete. And then me as the agent would get notified that I have documents uploaded in the system, so I can go into that deal and that it's linked right in that deal for you to go in and view those documents. So you'll see here, instantaneously, I now have these client documents, pay stubs and letter of employment. Within the system, I can actually split those documents. If I had two different pages, I can actually move them around into different spots. I can merge them. If I needed to have them all as one PDF, I could also merge them into a different condition as well. So all of them are right here for me to use, okay? One other thing that I'll point out here is, because I've entered this application, I have some smart conditions already set up. So this blue bar will ask me if I want to apply my actual smart conditions. So I click on it and then it pops up, well, James was actually salaried, so he needs a pay stub. So that was one of the conditions I automatically set up. I also set up an initial disclosure and a mortgage disclosure document to automatically pop up. Okay. So again, super simple for me to do things. Now, we also have our bank statements. Now, we spoke a little bit about Easy Account Access before. For those of you that don't know what it is, Easy Account Access is a way to securely gather clients' last 3 months of bank statements from their internet banking without them giving you access to their internet banking. So you can't do transfers or things like that. It is a very, very simple process, completely secure, and it's how 90% of the down payments is actually confirmed within this US today. So I can actually go in and do down payment confirmation easily. I can make it part of the client portal, or I can actually just say, hey, I'm going to do this with the client, or I'm going to send them a direct email on it. So again, using that actions button, add my Easy Account Access, I'm going to do it for Katie. I could send her an email through the system, or I could log in with her. And all you're doing is you're giving her the ability to just enter her access card number or her username. So I'm just going to do this with this fake lender. And then if there's any secondary authentication, it will pop up. And then what's going to happen is it's just going to give her a list of all her accounts at that particular institution. So then she can decide which one she's going to give you access to for the statements. And you'll notice here that I've got a Canadian account, a US checking account, then I've got liabilities. I've got a credit card statement, investment statements, line of credit, and personal loan. This system is actually smart enough to even get you access to mortgage statements as well, if they have a mortgage at that institution. So it is a very, very good tool to gather all that right up front. So I typically try and counsel the client to select all. So if they've been moving money around from account to account, you don't have to keep going back to them. The beauty of this is these statements are the actual statements. They're going to have the account number, the name of the customer. You're not going to have to go back and forth because now there's a large deposit of $10,000. You need to know where it came from. If they select all, you have access to all of it. So then they're done. You now can go in and actually pull down those statements that they've given you access to. And then you can look at each one, decide which one should be part of that particular condition. I'll just say I'm going to take all of them for just the US and the Canadian account. And then I automatically save it to the condition. So you'll see here, sorry, I don't think I hit save. There you go. Then I have all my documents all right here and I can send them off, okay? So just like I would do to other lenders, I can actually email, like Scotiabank, the documents directly to them just by using this action button again, email conditions and documents. And I have all the attachments all right there that I can send off, okay? The important thing is all this communication is logged automatically right within the communication history of the deal. That's a huge item when it comes to compliance. So you'll have all that right there in the communication history. When you send text messages, it'll also be logged here as well. Okay. Now, for those lenders that have their own portals, you can use this very similar feature and actually just download everything as a zip. And then we just allow you to open up that zip. And then I can just drag and drop all those documents right up into Professor if you're using MCAP or Loft if you're at Home Trust. So again, we make it easy for you to get the documents in. we make it even easier for you to get the documents out to the lenders. So nice and secure that way. Okay. All right. So one thing I should note about Easy Account Access, since we were just talking about it, is like TransUnion, we're actually now, as of today, providing that free for all users till the end of the calendar year. So there's no cost for the Easy Account Access. Just like we also don't charge you for eSign, which is actually incorporated right within the Velocity as well. The nice part about having eSign incorporated into Velocity is the fact that all our compliance documents are templated. So for argument's sake, I can put in a BC Form 10, and I'll do a credit consent. So in the system, you just go into our compliance forms. You also have compliance documents on the left. I can just go in and select and add those in. And I just create my form, and then I can email it off to the client or send it through eSign. I can also generate my Form 10s the exact same way. I can just insert text because this is just a demo account. It doesn't have it in there, so I could actually have it pre-fill automatically or enter the information. So here I now have my credit consent. I want to have it e-signed. I can just select the document for e-sign that I want to send to the customer, and I can send them for I can send them multiple documents in one package. So let's just say I was also going to e-sign the pay stub for some particular reason. I'll just do it because I can, and I will send it to e-sign. So what we do is for all the documents that are brought into e-sign, it's going to give you the ability to drag and drop the signatures if you want. And anything that's templated, it will just automatically send off directly to the customer. So I don't have to put in the initial boxes or the date boxes. The system will automatically do that for me. Okay. So I actually just ended up just sending off the one, the credit consent. So you can see it's e-sign requested. The system's going to automatically send reminders out until the client signs it, and then away we go. Okay. So again, that is also free for the balance of the year. Okay. The other things that we have in the system are CRM and compliance. So you can actually set up all your CRM campaigns and templates. We're in the process of enhancing that over the next 6 to 8 months. So communication is going to get even better. We're looking at more and more forms of communication besides email. So you'll be able to market via SMS. You'll have mobile options. So we're working on all of that right now. But last but not least, the thing that I will cover is compliance. We actually have an easy compliance process built into the system. I can mark off what documents I want for compliance. And when I go to prepare my compliance package, a lot of compliance officers want to have their package as one PDF. They don't want to have to click on 10 different attachments to open them up. So our process is they can select it. It will give you all the documents that you have put into your compliance package, and it allows you to move things into the order in which the client, your compliance officer, wants you to have them in. Once they're in that order, you hit ready for compliance, and they actually get a notification that there's a deal that's ready for compliance, and you have your package all right here. It locks down all those documents at the time, so you can't remove them because they're part of your compliance package. If there is anything that is non-compliant, this will actually update with a message, and you'll also get something in your message center that the compliance officer tells you that you're missing your ID or whatever you may be missing. So all of that is right there at your fingertips. So we're trying to give you that completely robust system where everything is all in one place. So those things are all the features that people really use today. Now, Viv, is there anything else you think I should cover that I may have missed?
There was only one quick question on the easy account access. So if they're short some down payment, the first time the client checks, of course, they don't have enough in their account, they get paid. How long can they go back and use that same link, or is one use and you have to send another link?
No, they can actually use the same link over and over again if you email it out. What will happen though is if that client, because it's only the last 3 months worth of statements,
Yeah.
if the statement cutoff date was the 1st of the month and today is the 26th, if they've just had their deposit today, that new statement's not going to be generated till September 1st.